From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief digital strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have my good friend, Mr. Andrew Palmer, with me. And Andrew and I are going to talk all about some new things with Adoram that are going to blow your socks off. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I've got my good friend Mr. Andrew Palmer with me. Hey Andrew, how you doing, man?
Hey Rob, you're up early in the morning. It's great to see you. Thanks for inviting me on your podcast. It's good to see you.
Oh, always a pleasure. It's been a while, so it was a time to get you down. And those who don't know, Andrew and I were actually on a podcast from a mutual friend of ours together this week in WordPress recently. So,
We were.
which we had about, we were. Um, I thought we'd have you back for a couple things. You've kind of changed what you're doing in the WordPress space, but love to talk about that. Talk about some of the stuff you're doing with Adoram and all the AI stuff going on there. But let's start with some fun. There's these teammates in behind you and all these crazy
Yeah,
characters.
there you go. There you go. Well, looking that way, that's Lexi. She's
Yeah.
your annoying secretarial type person who's a bit pedantic, and she'll make sure that your content is on point, on brand. Because with the new AI that we're putting, or Atrium actually is going into AI rather than the other way around. The AI, we've got teammates, and they're all behind me. There's one hiding away there. So Lexi is your proofreader, which is great. You've got Index just up here, which is your SEO master, and will let you know whether or not you're making good decisions or bad decisions on AI, on SEO. And this one is Navi, and she'll help you with any accessibility issues. She'll spot alt text not there, and she'll spot your menus and whether they're your navigation is, whether it's tabbing or whether you can tab across your website. And then you've got Pixel. He looks a bit grumpy, but he's kind of a French guy. He's Pixel, and we kind of built these characters around, and he's your UI UX expert, and he'll make sure that everything's right with your CSS and any code that's bringing things together. Then you got Glitch, one of my favorites. Glitch is the guy that picks out any kind of any kind of links that aren't working, and he looks really into the matrix. He's a dude, he's a surfer dude, and he's just looking into the code casually and just saying, well, maybe you need to do this. And then Claro just here is again one of my favorites, and that's really for all the others are developer centric. So you click a button. And they make 2,500 queries together. They'll look at your website or your web page. They'll scroll all the way down. They'll have a little conversation together. They'll get together, and then they make decisions. And then these little stars appear, and they're comments, just like in the Atrium system. And you can attach those comments to the taskbar and make that a task for your developers to fix any issues. But we've made it so that there's 20% positive comments back. Just showing you that you're doing a good job as well. But really it's about making sure your QA is there, and Claro is there for you as a developer as well. It gives you some clarity around what you're building, but basically that's the only one that the client sees. When you send a collaboration link via Atrium and your client clicks on that, they make a comment, it's a bit vague, Claro will come up and he'll say, that was a bit vague, AP. What's going on? Maybe you meant this, or this. And then you can also converse with them within the task. Once you've made the task live on the taskbar. You can ask Lexi for a bit more clarity on the text. Maybe you need to expand upon it, or maybe you need to change your CTA, and Lexi can have a conversation with Index and all those kind of things. So they're agentics that talk to each other, and they're agentics that talk to you, and they're what we call the inner circle.
Yeah, they are so cool. By the way, I have to tell you, I love this type of marketing, like
Mm.
more than anything, because they're different, they're fun, they stand out. You've been really smart, and there's a lady AI character in there, so you've
Yeah, well,
even
we got a
covered
couple.
that
We got
up.
Navi, we got Navi and Lexi. Bit of
Yeah, so
balance. You know,
you gotta balance,
yeah.
and they're just fun. How long did it take to come up with this concept and take Aderim into a different viewpoint?
I would say that it's been being worked on for the last 2 years. Vito, as you know, Vito and I
Yep.
developed and launched Bertha AI back in September 2021. But we worked on it. We actually worked on it very quickly. The idea came to Vito in May. He was busy with Aterim. He's always been into AI and new things, innovation, if you like. Atrium itself was innovative. Um, and we launched Bertha, and then I basically said to him, "Look, you got to go off and run Atrium. You got some investment now. Off you go. Leave me with Bertha." And I've left Bertha alone, pretty much rewritten a few prompts, made sure she's secure, and all that kind of stuff. And I think from that moment, Vito had a realization that we needed to make AI not only intuitive and um, able to comment, but also to work. So the things that are coming forward, if we're looking forward, are amazing. But if the things that we've got now with the AIs being able to talk to each other, analyze your website according to your brand values, make sure that you've got the right tone of voice, and also comment even when not asked. Claro will come up and say, "I don't think you're doing this right here. Maybe you need to fix that." As long as Aterim's initiated, if you like. But effectively, we wanted to make it fun, because it can be a
Yeah.
bit of a drudge building a website, because as a website is a website is a website is a website. But you've got your
Website.
that's
Yeah.
why developers kind of niche down, because they kind of like the fun things to do as well. And we all like to have a little
Yeah.
bit of fun. And this is what Vito, he's a character anyway, ex rock
Yes.
star, former rock band member who had a great deal of success, playing in front of 20,000 people. It's no mean feat. And he's in the band at Cloudfest and all that kind of stuff. So he's a fun character to be around. And I think it's just, he wanted the teammates to have a bit of personality. We've got a great team at Atrium where we've all basically got a fairly good sense of humor. I'm there and I take the mickey out of people and they kind of go, whatever. But it's just, we just have a fun time at Atrium, and because it's hard work. Let me tell you, it's a fast moving beast is Atrium, and this proves it, because we were
Yeah.
even 2 months ago, we couldn't do some of the things that the teammates are doing. So our developers have been working weekends for the last 6 or 7 weeks and loving it. Obviously they're getting enough rest. We're always worried about people burning out, but
Yeah.
the people that are developing are just loving it and making sure that everything is as it should be for launch. We've got early access going on at the moment, so we can talk about that later. But basically, it's been going on for the last year, let's say, full on, to get this thing developed, because we've had to rewrite the code completely
Yeah.
to make sure that the agents can interact with the Atrium interface.
Yeah. So true. Um, no, let's talk about early access now, actually. So I'm in a WordPress space. I'm doing websites. I want to access this now. How do I get it?
So you go to atrium.io/early dash access. That will put you on the list. We've limited it to a few thousand because we want feedback. The whole point of Atrium is that we've always been about feedback. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Atrium is closes down the feedback loop. And we want to close down the feedback loop and make sure that people actually, one, like what we're doing, and two, can find it helpful. and if there's anything else that they would like us to add or take away. Because with this system, we've also got real-time commenting coming in. So if you've got a few people,
Yep.
a few stakeholders involved on the page, you can actually see them going on the page. So there's real-time collaboration. It's not Google real-time collaboration. It's not any kind of collaboration you've ever seen. It's literally you can see people moving around the page and commenting. So you can actually sit back, watch the comments, and then you can communicate directly on those comments as well. So it's quite a big deal, really. There's a lot coming into this, and the refactoring of code we've had to do. We did 6 months ago. We refactored a lot of code, and we also made a new infrastructure to be able to handle the communication between Aterim and the servers and the clients to make sure that it's fast and
Yeah.
speed. There's no point in making a comment waiting 20 seconds for it to give you any feedback. There's no point in that at all. It's got to be pretty much instantaneous.
So that talks about how to get access. What are we looking at cost? I assume you need Aderim Premium. You need to be paid,
Yeah, you
right?
got a
This is a
premium.
premium.
We're there's still Asterin will still be free,
Yep.
basic. It won't include this because you'll have to buy tokens to be able to use the system. As I say, on every page, once you click review, if you've asked all of the teammates to do a review, you're looking at 2,500 things that they're looking at on your website, which is crazy.
Mhm.
Seems crazy anyway, and there could be even more once we go through this feedback cycle. But the
Yep.
costs are adequate. It's a SaaS system. It's going to be very affordable. I'm not going to. I have discussed costs in other podcasts. I'm not going to do it anymore because they're variable. They may go down. They may go up. Very
Yep.
very
Yep.
slightly. Basically, $50. For a license, you'll get 3 sites and you'll be able to
Yep.
manage your
That.
dashboard and
Yeah.
things like that.
That's.
So $50 or under, $50 or over, depending on the level of services that you want on the Atrium platform. But because we're putting Atrium into AI rather than the other way around, we as I say, we've had to build this from the ground up. It's a
Mhm.
completely new code base. So there's been a lot of investment in that, and with investment comes, risk, and we've got to make sure that
Of
we're,
course.
costing it properly for our customers to be able to have us there next week. Basically, like all companies, we need to make a running profit so that we can basically continue investing in the product and making it much better and making it more than it was, say, 6 years ago when it was just a WordPress plugin.
Yeah. And how is the reception been out there when you talk to people
Phenomenal.
about this
Yeah,
idea?
phenomenal. I mean, we have given early access to a few people, and they're coming back and they're going, "My God, my goodness, this is outrageously good," because nobody is an expert at everything. You've got your
Mhm.
SEO experts, you've got your UI,
Yep.
UX, got your whatever. You can be a great general web developer designer, but you're going to miss some things. You may not be a great coder because you're used to using a page builder, or you're used to just using the block editor, and you don't do anything other than use the standard blocks that are there. So if you're a creative person, you don't need Pixel because you've got your creation, you've got your UI and your UX, but you might not have SEO skills. So therefore, that's where Index, this little blue guy, comes in. Really handy. He's an SEO expert, goes out, looks at the SERPs, looks at the equivalents of Ahrefs and SEMrush, and tells you what you can put into your page titles, your CTAs, your text, whether your text is keyword rich according to your niche, etc., and all the things that SEO's around. You got Lexi, who's your brand voice. Now, we know what we want to say about our business, but we can't generally say, we can't, it's getting it together. It's the hours and days of work to write that copy that's really going to make sure somebody gets into our top of funnel. So that's where Lexi comes in. Make sure that you've got the right tone of voice according to your brand. And then you got Navi there because, we've got the European Accessibility Act that's just been
Oh yeah.
a couple of months ago. So we needed to put something in there for accessibility. All right, it doesn't affect the 1 to 10 employees of agencies and/or e-commerce websites, but it will affect all of us every single day. And we've got to be, we've just got to be honest about this. Accessibility is important. It's literally one of the
Hmm.
most important things in web. So we've got little Navi up there that's going to help us adhere to the accessibility rules. She knows all the WCAG rules and all that kind of stuff. So she'll notice that things are not right. If your shades are wrong or not, basically people can't see it. If they're suffering from low sight issues or whatever. If they a keyboard user, she'll make sure that everything's tabbable or navigable by a keyboard. And then you've got Pixel, who will make sure that your UI UX is good, and Glitch will pick up your mistakes, and Claro will give you some clarity on what you're trying to say as well. So it's
Yeah,
all there. You've got six
it's so
guys.
cool.
How much are they going to cost you? Lexi, Navi. How much is an accessibility expert? For
Way too much money. Way too much
Exactly.
money.
So
Yeah,
the cost, it should be $1,000 a day. This week, $1,000 a month is what we should
yeah,
be charging, because you've got $500,000 worth of salaries going out to these people if you
yeah,
employed them full time. So it's crazy, isn't it? And imagine being able
yeah,
to increase the team by six instantaneously. You've got six people working for you straight away,
yeah.
24/7.
And this is where AI in our business, I think any business is really important, Andrew. You get in there and you've got all these great tools and all these great teammates that are going to help you out. And it's going to streamline your business as a dev and make your life easier. And everybody's worried. And you and I have talked about this on podcasts, on other
Many
stuff.
times, yeah.
Everybody's worried about jobs. And I'm sitting here saying, wait a minute. We went from making books manually to the printing press. We went from writing HTML code to page builders, right? Isn't this just another evolution? Like, honestly, it's not going to cost jobs. What's going to do is actually streamline how we do things. And in my case, make my life 10 times easier, which is
Oh,
a really good thing.
absolutely. Imagine being able to build a website and know
Yeah.
that it's there, without
Yeah.
any doubts. You've basically done your 2,500 checks with a click of a button on each
Yep.
page, 90 seconds on each page. You're there. And most of the things that, if we think about website design, the headers and the footers are always the same. So you're never going to have to examine those again. Once you fix those, they're done. But the central text, any kind of long page funnels that you've
Yep.
done, any kind of CTAs that you've got, that they're going to be right. You can send those to your client as a developer,
Yep.
and your feedback loop gets even shorter. So what that does, it also increases your productivity. When you increase productivity, you increase naturally your ability to make more money. So you're increasing your
Mhm.
profitability. And that's what Atrium's always been about. Cut down the work that you've had to do to get feedback from your customers, and make sure that you build faster, quicker and better.
Yeah, and my advice to any devs out there, designers out there would be just because you're cutting down the work doesn't mean you should be charging less. And I think
Oh
that's where
no,
people
absolutely
make
not. No, but
where
we got
people
you.
make big mistake, right? Don't
Yeah,
don't
you've
do
got
that to
well,
yourself.
you've got the tools. I mean, we've got Adobe, what's that, $50 a month. We've got ChatGPT, $20, $30 a month, depending on what plan you're on. You've got Bertha AI, that's actually quite competitive. But you've got Atrium, you've got all the tools that you need.
Hmm.
So you've made an
Hmm.
investment and you're paying for those tools all of the time. But not only have you got that, you've got the 20 years, the 10 years, the 5 years
The
experience
experience.
to tell people that you know what you're doing. Like, you do security. I don't do
Hmm.
security. I don't know what security is all about. I know the basics, but if I've got a client that needs, so for instance, Atrium is SOC 2 compliant for enterprise clients, because that's what they require. It's
Yep.
as simple as that. Cost
Yep.
us thousands upon thousands of dollars to be able to get SOC 2 compliance. That's a massive investment for us. The infrastructure that we've got, the new infrastructure that we
Hmm.
did, hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment. So, our clients invest in us, we invest in our infrastructure, everything's great. So that is the same mentality that developers and
Yep.
agencies and freelancers should have. I've invested my life into this business. So I'm priceless, basically. So yes, I can go out there at competitive prices for sure, but I'm not going to reduce them because I've got AI helping me do my job better. For
Yep.
sure, I'm not.
Thank you. So well said. So I want to jump in it, pivot for a second, jump into something else.
Sure.
My good friend here turned around and said several weeks or months ago or a year ago, I am done in the WordPress space. And you outright said it, and you're laughing at me. And I
Yeah.
have to tell you, I turned to a mutual friend of ours and I said, like hell, he's done. He's
Yeah.
just taking a break. So what happened? Did you just get burned out and need a change and then get
Well,
rejuvenated? Or
the
what
honest truth
happened,
is
bud?
that well, I hurt my back badly.
I know. I know.
And I couldn't walk for literally 18 months to 2 years. And
Yep.
I was
And you
misdiagnosed.
look good and you look good and you sound good, by the way. So
Well, thanks. Yeah, but it took a while for the NHS is great in the UK. It is fantastic, but I must have just faced a couple of doctors that were in a bad mood. They literally didn't offer me an MRI, didn't offer me anything. Just told me I've got a sprained back. I got an X-ray, and the guy said, "Yeah, suspected slip disc," but it was more than that. And that led, to be frank, that led to a big depression. I was depressed
yeah,
massively because
you sounded it.
I literally couldn't walk. And I was in agony all of the time. And I'm not the only guy that's been through this, but that
Mhm.
affected my business. We lost an awful lot of work. Found out clients aren't particularly sympathetic when you're ill. But it wasn't,
Nope.
I had people looking after my business. They didn't do a brilliant job, let's be honest, but they were under their own pressures as well. And then I came back and I had a couple of operations and I was fine. Well, not fine, but I'm okay. And the pressure of that and the pressure of the business, and I still had a very profitable business, but I thought I just can't do this anymore. I literally thought I don't want to do this anymore. I've realized who my friends are, and they were
Yeah.
stand up and they supported me and they took me through it and everything like that. And I just thought and somebody said, do you want to sell your business? And I just went, yeah. That's just literally, yeah. It was, you didn't have to ask me twice. And so we did a deal. There were two people involved. One guy backed out at the last minute, but he helped. What he did, this is the fantastic thing about the community we've got, Robert. Nobody really outside the community kind of understands this. This guy was going to buy my business or wanted to buy my business, and he helped me put together the package. He helped me consolidate everything, know the exact code. We're talking about peppercorn payments and all this kind of stuff, and know everything about the business, and really did a forensic job of it. And it was in a good state. I was, I knew it was in a good state. We were profitable. We were kind of making money.
Yeah.
We had good clients. We had lots of recurring income. It was great stuff. And then he backed off because he had a big project to deal with and it was anything. But I was left with this fantastic package of a business for sale. And another guy said, "Well, I want to buy your business." I said, "Okay, here it is." Literally took me no time at all. I just went, "There you go. That's the state of the business. If you want access to zero, all that kind of stuff, you'll have to sign all sorts of NDAs and whatever." And we did the deal in 48 hours.
Wow.
Crazy, because it was
Congrats.
December, and I thought, yeah, and I was just going to retire.
Yeah, you
Um,
were.
yeah, and I just thought, right, I've had enough of this. I don't want to do web. It's
Mhm.
too hard at the minute. Building websites is too hard. It's too competitive. It's too cost
Mhm.
conscious. People aren't respecting the fact that you've got to charge a certain amount of money. We're not, they're treating it as a commodity rather than anything else. To be perfectly honest and frank, and I still enjoyed working with my guys that I'd worked with for 20 years. And they were a bit disappointed. The Shopify guys going, "What am I going to do?" And I said, "Okay, I can kind of eke you out because this chap didn't want to buy the Shopify clients, and I had a lot. So I've managed to manage those in my spare time, if you like, and keep those retained, which is
Yeah,
nice. And the coaching business, I love coaching because
I know you do.
I've been through the mill and everything. So, it's I kind of like to have positive vibes about it as well. But the great thing is that the company that took over my business, Ben, we have a great relationship and I'm still there for them, for another year or so, just to, if they've got a problem with a client, just to have a call with the client and go, calm yourself down. One of them being my brother. But, I'm just saying, calm yourself down. It's all right. These guys are professionals.
Family.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just crazy. But anyway, I just find it hilarious because he is my brother and he just rants on the phone to me. But And I opened a restaurant with a friend of mine. You know, I've opened a couple of
Yeah.
restaurants at this time, a nightclub and stuff like that. We've had various levels of success. And the idea was January the 1st, I just open a restaurant and use it and run it for six
Yeah.
months and then sell it.
Yeah.
We sold it in 6 weeks. So that kind of kiboshed everything. It's just, it was very successful, very, very quickly. And people came in to see it. And we had these few people come in and go, can
Yeah.
we buy it? Can we buy this? And we said, yeah, you can. This is the price. And they went, okay, great. And then I
Here.
went off to then I went off to Spain, all happy, thinking, what am I going to do? You know, and I was living with Lynn because Lynn is my ex-partner, and she was very kind, looked after me while I had a very, very bad back. And she said, you know what, it's about time you moved out of the log cabin. And so I went to Spain, you know, contemplated my naval, all that kind of stuff. Had a bit of money, you know, because I cashed out. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a year off. That'll do, and I'll figure out what to do after the year. And
Yeah.
then I got a call from Vito Peleg, you know, the owner of Atarim, and he said, "What are you doing?" You know, I said, "This. I'm not doing a lot." And he said, "Okay, let's have a chat." So I had a chat with the head of sales, and they brought me in and just you know went through a full interview because that was my criteria. I didn't want to be a shoe-in. Let's not forget that Vito and I have been we're still our partners
Friends.
in Bertha AI. I was the first investor in Atarim. There's a lot of history with me with Atarim
Yep.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
So and very positive history. You know, Elegant Marketplace put WP feedback on there and everything. So you have to take into account that that Vito is one of my best friends. I have basically
Yep.
five best friends, and
Yep.
Vito's pretty close to the top of the list.
Yeah.
So it's that's quite difficult when you make a decision to work for friends, because Atrium is a very structured business, and I'm loving it because it is that structured. So I have a boss in Radost, who Decheva, who used to work for SiteGround. She's our head of sales. I'm heading up the Diffum sales and a bit of partnership and the reseller sales and everything. We got lovely Lindsay, who's doing customer success. We're employing more customer success people. We have fantastic developers, unbelievable developers who are so clever, Robert. They're unbelievably clever, and they use AI, but not to the extent that it's fully AI or anywhere near. They just use it to check. But
Mm.
we are an AI focused business. We've got fantastic BDRs, you know, business development reps who work really, really hard on my behalf to get me meetings and appointments with hosts, because I'm on the host side and the enterprise side, and
Yeah.
we've got beautiful salespeople like Andrew Lees, who's an amazing person who just is so keen on getting agencies to use Atarim because it's to their benefit, you know. And our BDRs are phenomenal. They're on the phone saying, "Come on, meet with us and to do stuff." So we've got a very, very structured business. And then we've
Yeah.
got Vito who kind of oversees it. We've got a COO, you know, we've got HR. It's a proper business. It's not Atarim. It's not W Feedback of years ago where it was Vito and Jerome. It is now 35 plus people that drive this business forward every single day. And I'm really lucky to actually be one of them. You know, be on the sales side and trying to get sales in to make sure that we're, as I say, here next week for all our customers. It's a great experience, frankly.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. What's amazing in all of this, and I'm listening to your journey, and I resonate with it so much because, as you know, and listeners this podcast know, I went through my own health battle last year.
Sure.
I had a abscess in the back of the neck that ended up in a 9-day ICU stage visit, whether I liked it or not.
Good Lord.
I'm great now. I'm great now, but you know, and I remember lying in the hospital bed and saying, "Crap, I'm 56 years old, and you're older like I am, so you get it."
You
And I'm
reverse
going
those
through all,
numbers and you've got my age.
yeah, thank you. You're older than me slightly, but the point is, as we get older, health challenges happen.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
I was lying in bed, and I said, "Do I want to continue working, and do I want to continue the podcast, and do I want to do this, and do I want that? Maybe I should just pack it all in and retire and say to hell with it all." And then my partner Chris Ronan talked me out of it in more ways than one.
Sure.
And said, you need to keep working because you're going to drive me nuts, first of all. Yeah, number one.
That's
And
true.
then
Yeah.
that is true. And number two, you like working. So let's deal with the health stuff and then you'll get there. And, I'll be very transparent. You said you went through depression. We went through a lot.
Yeah,
You know,
massive depression. Yeah, when
as
you're
it,
when you're ill and you're on pills and painkillers and everything, it's kind of
yep,
you just think, how many of these would it take? It's just that it's not, and it wasn't a light thought. It was basically, I am in agony here, and nobody is doing anything to make
yep,
make that right. In the end, I did have to go private just for an
yep,
MRI. 45
yep.
minutes later, I'm under the knife. So I understand the issues
I
around
understand.
health and making yourself better. I'm sorry. I'm glad that you're well.
I
Um,
appreciate that. But I was gonna say we went through so much stuff together
sure.
that last fall we almost packed it in. I mean, there was that going on. There was other stuff with us going on. There was family stuff going on, and you know what happens, right? And you kind of
Yeah.
look at life and say that. Now, what we did, and kind of around the mental health side, is we actually jumped into couples therapy together. And I'm very transparent. I won't say what it was
Sure.
because it's not fair to her, but we did that. So the point I'm making is you've been through it and you're an established business guy. I've been through it. I'm established. Please, entrepreneurs out there, and I mean this wholeheartedly, make sure you take care of your head and the mental side of what you do.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to beat this drum all the time, but like take care of yourselves because if you don't do it, nobody's going to help you. Find a partner, find somebody supportive, get some help because one of the things we see in our business is the high rate of burnout rate, and
It's
it's
crazy.
just not good.
It is crazy how people, particularly in the WordPress community, burn out. And they
Yeah,
just and it's I don't think anybody really outside our industry understands the pressure that we're under. We have so many
yep, yep,
demanding customers and we have so many demands upon ourselves. And also when you're looking into the matrix every single day, you're kind of going a little bit mad, because it is all you're seeing is code and you're seeing
yeah,
the end result of your code in your UIs and UXs. But you also, a lot of where I think freelancers particularly make an error is they have a talent, they have a design talent or a coding talent or anything like that, but they don't have a running a business talent. And then they all of a sudden they got to think about tax, they got to think about CPAs, they got to think about getting an accountant, they got to think about one third of their earnings. So they do a job for 15 grand, they 5 grand of that is tax and insurance. And in America, you have you have to have health insurance. It's crazy. Whereas we're
yep.
very lucky in the UK and Canada
And Canada. Yep.
and mostly in Europe as well. Our health service actually is technically free at the point of contact. You can choose to go private, certainly in the UK. I don't think you can in Canada. But we've got a system where I can go to my GP and say, look, I'm feeling a bit down, matey. And they go, okay, well, I can book you in with a therapist and stuff. And I didn't do it. I haven't had any formal
Yeah.
counselling. Now, I'm actually doing a counselling course myself because of the coaching. I want to be more of a life coach rather than a business coach. But the business side of it is oftentimes ignored by
Yep.
freelancers, and they all of a sudden they get loads of money in their bank account. They go out and they buy a Porsche or sign up to an Aston Martin, and then they find out it's costing them $900 or 900 quid a month, and they haven't got any money to even put fuel in it because
Yep.
it's feast and famine. Our business is feast and famine, so that's why we always insist on recurring income
Yep.
because that is, you get into your maintenance plans, get into your care plans, get into your service plans like you do with your security, and build your business properly. You're not a high street store, so people aren't going to walk into your store and go, yes, I want that, that, and that. You are a business that needs sustenance every single day, mentally for
Mhm.
yourself, to protect yourself from the abuse that we get from clients. You
Yep.
know, I've literally been threatened to be beaten up by clients. Come
Me
to my
too.
office, I'm going to
Yeah.
beat the hell out of you because their website went down for 10 minutes. You know, and it's kind of extreme, but that's how people feel strongly about their business. My email's not working. If I see you, I'm going to kill you. Those are the
Yeah.
things that have been said to me
Yeah.
many, many times. And you think, and actually, you know, the guy that said it to me was about 7 foot tall and 25 stone. So you kind of go,
Yeah.
okay, I'll fix your email.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's those kind of pressures, but also people shouting at you, people cajoling you, people telling you you're no good at your
Yep.
job when actually they
Yep.
don't know what they're talking about as well. Clients are very, very difficult at times. And the things that
Yep.
we have to put up with in the web development world, from hosting going wrong, because it does, let's face it, to page builders breaking, to code breaking and trying to figure it out and not
Yep.
being able to figure out, and then finding out they get, you know, okay, well, I know a guy in a Facebook group, and then finding out that guy's going to charge me $1,000 to fix 3 lines of code that I missed. The pressure is immense, and I think that once we acknowledge that and
Yep.
manage to take care of ourselves and actually talk to people within the community, this is what it's all about. This is why WordCamps are so valuable. You know, we
Yeah.
have a lot of neurodiverse people in our community,
Hmm.
and we need to welcome people of all diversities of everything
I
and make
agree.
sure everybody feels comfortable talking to each other, everybody feels safe and everything. And that's what I like about WordCamps, where they've worked towards this badge system. You know, green badge, you can say hi. You know, I wear the green badge all the time, but even I like to sit on the corners sometimes and just be the little wallflower. I mean, it will be a big sunflower, but it will be a wallflower sitting back and just watching. Sometimes I don't want to get involved
Yep.
in the conversation. Odd, I know, but you know, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to come together as a community and make sure that we don't abuse each other. It's very difficult. I've
Hmm.
been guilty of, you know, having a strong word with people in public as well. It's very difficult to manage your anger sometimes when somebody says something that's completely wrong, or a straight out lie. You know, that's one thing I just cannot abide. So be kind to each other as much as possible, but and don't lie. You know,
Yeah.
be the person that you need, that you want other people to be towards you. Be kind, and be helpful. Really, I think, you know. And the lecture is now over.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
okay. I sing from the same songbook, and you know that. The other thing is too is, and then we'll move on, is make sure you set some firm boundaries with your clients.
for sure.
Set them and set them hard. I've actually got clauses in my contracts that say if a client swears at me, their contract is terminated without refund. End of story. No,
Wow.
I don't even care. It's there, and I've walked away. I have one client recently wrote me a bad review, and I sicked my legal beagle on him and said, "You can't write a bad review for him terminating the client. You pull that down, or he's going to sue, and this is why." And they kind of looked at my lawyer and said, "You got to be kidding!" And he said, "Nope, you have a morality clause in your contract, so good luck." I put
I
those
think that's a
in. Like
great
I,
idea. I think maybe, you know, what's it called? A morality clause.
yes,
But
yes.
be nice, or else.
Or basically, yeah, because and what people in our business need to do, and you know this, you've been doing this a long time,
Sure.
and is if the client's not the right fit, let the client go. It's not worth
Yeah,
the $500. It's not worth it. It's not worth $1,000.
I agree.
Um, I'm dealing with one client right now where I'm dying to see where it goes. They had an executive board shoot recently, and I'm caught right in the middle of it. And I won't say anymore because I give away who it is, but
Yeah,
it
sure.
just
Well,
I think
look on the positive side, though. I mean, the clients that I had in my business for over 30 years, you know, from printing through
most of
creative
them are really
agencies,
good. Yeah.
they're still there. They were still there. And a couple actually, when I sold the business, said, "Do you know what? You know, they'd been with me on hosting for 20 years." And they said, "Do you know what,
Yep.
Andy? I think it's maybe time for me to retire as well. You know, just close the website. We'll over the next 3 months, we'll pay this guy the year, but we're
Yeah.
going to call it quits as well, because 20 years, 25 years. I mean, I've got
Yep.
clients
Yep.
who are in their early 70s,
Yeah.
still working restaurant clients and all that kind of stuff. And they're
Yep.
basically deciding to sell their businesses because they suddenly realize that they haven't lived their life. They're working 7 days a
Yes.
week,
Yes.
and it's hard. Hospitality is hard. Although
Is harder than
very well,
my
I love it. I mean, it's very enjoyable because I suppose I'm a people person, but
you
it's
are.
just you've got situations where people are suddenly realizing that they've got to have a good life work balance,
Yep.
and I'm learning that at Atrium actually. I have weekends off. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's
I don't
awesome.
know what I don't know what to. I didn't know what to do with myself the first weekend of the week.
Your golf game, Arnie, your golf game. But so let's go back to that. You're doing stuff with the FIM. You want to explain what that is
I
and
do it
what you're
for me.
doing? And
It's more for hosts, and it's something that we have a pro services team, or teams rather, and some hosts are leaving opportunities on the table. Really, they're just
of course,
they've got their hosting, they've got their. The dream is really, I've always said about managed hosting.
yep,
With our different product, we can actually say, or service, our different product and service, we can actually say you can offer a truly managed hosting because we'll look after the website as well. So we've got care plans, we've got SEO optimization, we've got some website speed optimization and website build. For small SMBs, we're not competing with agencies or anything like that. We're just taking the
no,
really the low hanging fruit where people can't do it themselves. They go to a host, they
yep,
register a domain, they do, and then all of a sudden they find they can't build their own WordPress website, even with the help of AI. So we've got our pro services division will align with your business as a white label for the host, and we'll use Atrium as the communication system, and which is white labeled to the host as well. So it's seen as the host's white label or seen as the host's communication system. And we have a full-on playbook of how to operate a do-it-for-me
mm,
business. So basically, the hosts are adding on a team to build websites for their customers that don't want to do it themselves, and also need a brochure website or a 10
yep,
page 10 product or 20 product WooCommerce website or something like that. So that's where
yep,
I'm at. And also partnerships and resellers and all that kind of stuff. So because we're a software. We are software. So we're a SaaS, software as a service, and some people want to resell it. So that's my job as well to get those on board, get the diffum done, and also partnerships where we have people like Grade, who are we have a symbiotic relationship partnership wise. Other hosting companies we have partnerships with Extendify. We work very closely
hmm
with Extendify as well. And all
yep,
these kind of things, because it's a community and we build each other up. So we cross promote. We make sure that people are aware of the separate businesses that we're involved in as well on a partnership level, to be able to bring the whole package to everybody, not just hosts, but to agencies and freelancers as well. And I think
yep,
that's the benefit of us having. Vito had his own agency, which was doing mainly charity websites. He decided to take on one of the hardest niches in the world. I had
oh,
an
awful,
agency for 30 years. Thousands of websites built and hosted by us as an agency. So we've got fantastic experience as agencies. I've got great experience of being a host as well. So there's a lot of relatable stuff that we can talk to about from literally the freelancers right up to the C-suite
yep,
hosts that are having situations where they're getting clients asking them to build websites, and they're pushing them to an agency, and the agencies aren't doing that work because the SMB is saying, no, I don't really want to pay $10,000 for a website, even if it's a 5 page brochure website. So that's my job, is to persuade the host that we can provide that pro services for them under a white label. So
yeah,
that's what I
that's very
do.
cool.
I'm loving it every single minute of it. It's great.
Yeah, so there's two things you said compelling in that. One is with AI, they can't necessarily build the site and do it all. And I think this is something we really got to get under our belts here in this community. Is AI is not the answers to everything. If you don't have the expertise, you don't know how to do it. AI is not going to help you. That's the first thing. So we got to get past that.
Sure.
The other thing I was going to ask you was, since you've been around a long time, you've done your own agency, you built thousands of sites. One of the biggest things that has divided this community is the whole Gutenberg versus page builders versus, and I'm going to go down this road.
Oh dear.
Um,
Gonna get me in
yeah,
trouble.
I am. um, and you were a Divi guy. I know that. I
Yeah,
know that about
absolutely.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was played with them all, but I was a Beaver Belter Elementor guy at one time.
Sure.
I'm not. I will say I am not anymore. So I will say that there. Um, should you just use what you're accustomed to and do WordPress your way, or should you go one way or the other?
Well, I think you know the answer that I'm going to come up with.
I
Just
want your answer.
do what
Go ahead.
makes you happy. If you want to use
Yeah.
Bricks, Elementor, Divi, full site editing, if you want to use Grade, and I've only really just been made aware of Grade.
Yeah.
And if I was still in an agency, I would be using Grade because it's
Yeah.
an unbelievably great block based system. And I'm not just saying that because I know them well. I'm literally, when I when I got introduced to the Grade system, I just went, oh bugger. I could have made loads of money with this system, but I just sold
Yeah.
my agency, so it doesn't matter. But because it's so easy to use. But basically, I love Gutenberg. I think it's where people get confused with the Gutenberg plugin because that's a little bit ahead of the actual block builder.
Yeah.
And I think the
No
language
question.
has changed around WordPress. It's the block editor now. It's not Gutenberg
Yes.
as per se. So you've got the Gutenberg plugin, which with obviously millions or thousands of or hundreds of bad reviews. But you've also got there's millions of downloads of the classic editor, so people can use WordPress as they want, and that is because, in my view, and I've said this on another podcast, it is a platform. It's a CMS.
Yes.
Imagine it's just so fantastic, isn't it, to be able to install something and then make it your own. It's crazy. I find that
Yeah.
crazy. I don't
Yep.
know any other software that you can make absolutely your own. You can turn it into a web app. You can turn it into a journaling app. You can turn it into a blogging
Yep.
machine. You can turn it
Yep.
into an email marketing machine, a funnel. Whatever you want to do with WordPress, you can do.
Yep. Yep.
Supported by thousands of people in the community, supported by over 60,000 plugins in the repository, both premium, freemium, and free.
Mhm.
What other system do you know that on the web that gives you that ownership? That's the key.
No.
With
And
WordPress, it doesn't matter what you've got or what you're using, as long as you're happy with it. It's like going to a restaurant. If you don't like fish, I don't like fish, don't eat fish. I'm still in
yep.
the restaurant, so I've still got a choice of something from a menu, just like you have
Yep.
with WordPress. Just use it as you would want to use it. And all these, I love the enthusiasm I love it about people saying, "Oh, you got to use this, or you got to use this." And if you're a Divi user, you're
Yeah.
that. Why? If I'm using Divi, I could build a Divi website in 45 minutes
Mhm.
with a template using AI for the content and everything. 45 minutes. Why
Yep.
would I not use a system that would give me that ability? If it was a complex website, yes, we're talking 7, 10, 15 days. Before Atarim, before WP feedback, it's taken me 6, 7 weeks to build a website because of the lack of client communication, being ghosted, or yes, I'll get onto that, I'll
Yeah.
give you the content for that. But WordPress is a platform, and you will see it becoming more
Yep.
and more of a platform with AI. It's
Yep.
going to be incredible. It's exciting
And then we
stuff.
have to and then we have to mention like Automatic themselves do a lot of other stuff. We were before we went there, we were talking about Beeper, right? There's one
Phenomenal.
app that
Hard
I
to
love.
sign up to though. It's not. It's again, it's very did remind me of WordPress, and they did. I watched the video. I wish I'd been in New York for it, but the Matt said it is actually hard to sign up, and they had people there helping people sign up because you've got to sign up to all the things that you're in. You've got to sign in
You
at
need it. Yep.
2FA, and
Yep.
there's codes and everything. It's very secure end to end. So yeah, Beeper,
Mhm. And then they bought my favorite podcast app called Pocket Casts, which
Pocket
is
Cast, which they're
they
doing,
bought
yeah,
from
developing,
NPR.
yeah, which is
And then
amazing.
they also own my favorite journaling app, the Day One Journal.
A
You
day
know?
one journal, and they've got
Yep.
Clay, which is the CRM. I
Yep.
think what people miss about Automatic is how many niches they are in, or how many
Yep.
applications they own, and how much time and money they've invested in all the things that help us communicate better. And it's all open source,
Hmm.
which is great. And if it wasn't open source, it now is open source because that's the
Hmm.
mantra. And I was very excited to learn that the AI team are now fully based in New York City.
It's actually a good idea. Yeah.
They basically, so they, because they can talk to each other in the same office and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, I've got a problem with that, because that's where asynchronous doesn't work. I've said it before. Asynchronicity is great, but it's better to be in the office when you're dealing with something that's moving at the speed of light. And that's where we're learning that as well. I mean, one of our AI team actually co-works online so that they're available to each other all of the time, rather
Yeah.
than not being online. Rather than coding, they're in a virtual room together so that they can converse and share screens and make sure, and also for their comfort as well, and their the knowledge that somebody is there all the time
Yeah. That's
during the
important.
working day. Because
So true.
I think that's what people miss from the office is
Yeah.
when I was in printing, we used to have our board meetings were literally by the water cooler. I remember my business partner once saying, "Oh, I've just placed an order on 3 102 Speedmasters," and we were by the water cooler, and I just went, "Okay." They were £1.5 million each, and I went,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's just like, because it was a decision that we had to make. We had a lot of business, so we needed that machine coming in. But those are our board meetings. I just found it quite funny at the time, but it was
Mhm.
it's the physicality of it. I can understand why people don't like working from home, but I also understand explicitly how wonderful it is to work from home. I've got my dog
Yeah.
here. I can have a 10-minute break. I can go out for a quick walk, get a bit of fresh air, defuzz my brain, come back and be
Yeah.
ready to get going. Whereas if you're in an office all the time, the pressure is definitely on for the full 8, 9, 10 hours that you're in that office.
Yeah, and that's changing too because certainly in Canada, there's a big movement going on to get people back into the office. So the banks have all done that. The government's doing that. Rogers Communication is doing that. The other side of it is there are some people, unfortunately, who abuse every privilege that we get. So they're working from home, but they're not really working, right? So you'll always get that side of it too.
Yeah,
So
you
it's a
are, and
tough.
yeah, when COVID taught us a lot of lessons actually, but actually, it's a shame that people do take advantage. I'm not going to lie. I do. I go away from my desk and I make myself a cup of coffee, and I
Mhm.
might go off and have a cigarette or something. But and to do that in an office is difficult because you've got people watching you and stuff like that. But actually, I think my productivity is much higher than if I was working in an office. And also, I've been self-employed for 30 years, so this is a very new situation for me to be on the
Yeah.
payroll, and at someone's beck and call. Where are you? What are you doing? And we've got a Slack channel where we tell people where we are, and we literally be right back, going for a 10-minute break or something like that, because we've got an HR department, because we care about the people that we work with at
Yep.
Atrium, and make sure that we don't get burnt out, because it's very easy to get burnt out. If you had, we did a campaign when I first joined, and I had 47 meetings in one week.
Wow.
That's hard. I don't care what anybody says, that's hard. There were only 15-minute meetings, doing agency health
Yeah,
check,
but it's still
but
the
it
in
was
and it's
just,
still the in and out. Yep.
Yeah, and it was back to back to back to back, and I think that and we've got some people in our company that do back to back to back meetings, and I'm saying to them, really, you should just give yourself 10 minutes break because it's not healthy to go from one meeting to the next to the next to
Yep.
the next. And yes, we've got the AIs that are taking notes, but I think that we've got part of the pressure of working from home is actually proving that you're working. And I think that
Mhm.
when you're working with a team that you can trust, you don't have to prove that you're working because the proof is in the results that you're getting. So you can
Yeah.
see when somebody is working, you can see when they're getting results, and that means productivity wise or sales wise or whatever it may be. We have a phenomenal BDR team that are just always pinging, meeting booked, meeting booked, meeting booked, meeting booked. We've got a great development team where it's saying, yeah, we finished that code, we finished that, that's
Mm.
launched, whatever it may be. We keep each other up to date with what we're doing, not for justifying or not for demonstrating that we're actually doing work, but for telling people what we're doing, so therefore you can now do this. Do you see what I
Yep.
mean? Keeping in touch.
Yeah, I
It's
get
great.
it. Yeah.
You know,
Thanks so much today, Andrew. Thanks for sharing what's going on at Adram and your
you're
own journey,
welcome.
as always. I appreciate you more than you realize. If someone wants to find out more, how's the best way?
Well, you can go to Atarim.io, find out about me. Don't forget the /early dash access as well to get into the AI. You can find me at Arnie Palmer on Twitter or at
Yeah.
Atarim dot dash IO, I think it is, or underscore IO on Twitter as well. And obviously Andrew Palmer on LinkedIn.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day.
More than
Appreciate you.
welcome. Thanks a lot. Good to see you.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Andrew for joining me on this edition of the STM Show. The STM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.